Hello, my name is David Fort, and this short story is called The Mighty Mississippi, a Love Story. Since my first paddle drop, I have been calling people to the water. Years ago, on a cold winter Winnipeg morning, the wind blew softly from the south, notifying me the majestic Mississippi was inviting me back home. Unbeknownst, I would be rediscovering not only my muddy roots, but also finding true love. Born in Brainerd, overlooking the early workings of a mighty river, Gemini constellation high in the sky, my watery umbilical cord was cut quickly back to the Iron Range, Duluth, Twin Cities, before shuffling north of the Continental Divide, up the Mississippi's twin sister, the Red River, and up further still to nestle restless from kindergarten to high school graduation in the Boreal Shield Cree territory. Northern life was happy and healthy, with an undercurrent of displacement, having music and paddling being two fundamental components of my life. It took me well into my adult life to finally fuse both elements into the River Armada concert series, in which my music project Twin would paddle river systems show to show. I had been doing this for a few years when the Mississippi calling overtook me with an obsession, putting all other things to the wayside. My perennial paddling bandmate David Enns, who had already endured the entire length of the Great River years ago, was ready with his trusty Red Wing Minnesota designed guitar and paddle. It was not to be, however, as Dave was hit with Cupid's arrow just weeks before our departure. This new romance could only be celebrated, for anything less would be a betrayal of beautiful, burgeoning love. The first Mississippi tour was booked from Bemidji to La Crosse, with one gaping issue. I did not have a paddle partner. I started phoning friends from across the Northland, old summer camp chums, local musicians I thought could fare the trip, but alas, no takers. There was, however, one person I had yet to contact, a young violinist named Brooklyn Sampson, whom I had played with a few times over the summer, and it was clear her talents were endless. I called her up one muggy Winnipeg afternoon and said, "Do you want to learn a bunch of Twin songs in less than a week and go paddle down the Mississippi for little to no money, facing enduring hardships along the way?" Brooke paused for a moment before stating, "Yes, that sounds pretty good." So it was settled. We headed south, purchased a beautiful blue and white second-hand Aqualine canoe made in Bemidji, Minnesota in 1988, rehearsing quickly in a small motel before our first performance at Bemidji State Park. Our trusty boat soon adapted the nickname Tanky. Tanky was big, slow, but could handle our large load of instruments, river gear, as well as being able to endure heavy winds and rapids quite well. This first journey down this primary vein of Turtle Island proved to be a true challenge to us as individuals and as a unit. At this point in my life, I was proud, cocky, indestructible, and based on my northern canoe experience, was viewing the Mississippi not as a cakewalk, but as something that could be managed with relative ease. The majestic, mighty Mississippi has many lessons and humbled me immediately. The lazy early flow forced us to paddle all our miles into the big water chain of lakes such as Cass, Winnibigoshish, Jay Gold, and the wind tunnel turn at Lake Pepin that has left us in a lurch a few times over the years. Brooke was green on stage and the river, but immediately adapted within days to rise to new challenges. The journey became art militaresque early as we raced against time, starting in the fall fog often as early as 5 a.m. to make it to events cold, wet, and hungry. But the show must go on, even if some forgot we were coming or it was just meager gatherings along the riverbank. Something starts to happen as the days go by on the river. It becomes a strange mix of looking to succeed as an artist, looking out for your safety night after night, bouncing between bears and beer cans at deep wilderness and rural campsites, homelessness hidden in the most wondrous of places, making you question, why do I bother with such modern monetary endeavors at all? Something happens as the mud and water seep deep into your soul. You start to become the river, and it becomes you. You identify with it. You speak with it, and look forward only to being back upon it, within it, washing away all that has been lost in what you thought you were and what you thought you wanted. Through these lessons, we discovered that music could be so much more, that life could be so much more. We discovered each other, and it became clear to me as the days went on. The Mississippi called me back for a plethora of reasons, but mostly out of love. As the days became colder and shorter, the locks opening new pathways to life, leaving old ones behind, we had discovered our love for each other. Keeping each other safe and warm in derelict warehouses outside the Twin Cities, navigating with great care the industrial aquatic superhighways the river has become, lying low as tornadoes tore up the west side of the river, singing for our suppers and safe sleeps, delivering in speech and song all the messages the river had bestowed upon us, hoping others would hear its beautiful voice inside them. The mighty Mississippi River called me back to remind me what true strength is, and that strength is love. To know the water is to love the water. To love the water is to heal the water. To heal the water is to heal ourselves. Thank you.